Hey everybody, welcome back. To those of you new to the channel, I want to extend a welcome to you, and to those of you returning, my regular subscribers, it's good to see you again. Today, I wanted to start the video by asking a question. How many of you have the distinct sense over the last, I'd say 5 to 10 years, or maybe even more recently, that you just don't fit in anymore? When you go to gatherings, social gatherings, holidays, if you even still have enough family around to do that, birthdays, get-togethers, you feel like there's a level of distance and a level of misunderstanding going on between you and the people that you're there with, to where, not that you necessarily like small talk, but you can't even engage in small talk anymore. You feel like those people don't have any independent thought, that they just don't healthily question anything. And you feel like there's just a level of disconnect where you're just more aware of everything than a lot of people around you. Like you're realizing that you are independently thinking about things and questioning things the way that you should be, but other people just aren't. And it makes it difficult to have conversations. You feel like you just don't fit in because you're looking at the way society is going. Things that we talk about here on this channel, the economy, the way that that is going. The very fact that we can't seem to affect any meaningful change. And when I mean meaningful change, here's something that I would throw right out there. One thing that would majorly help every single American right now is if we banned private equity from owning homes. If we banned that and stopped that from happening and made it impossible for them to get around that, the home market would increase and improve dramatically. And that would begin to have a ripple effect that would start to move into the private sector with jobs and everything. It would just change things financially across the board in many ways. It is not an end-all to be-all. It is not a cure-all, but it is a step in the right direction. And the sad, sad truth is that is never going to happen. Current administration here in the United States is not going to do anything about that. Neither party is ever going to do anything about it. They don't care about us. Politics is a stage, and they don't care. And that's okay. That is not something to be depressed about. That is something to wake up to and realize they don't care. They're never going to do anything. We shouldn't be breaking our hearts over having an expectation that somehow they are. Things are going to have to shift back to a place to where more common people have a say. It's just the plain simple truth. That's how we've ended up in a place where private equity as an investment is buying up homes and fleecing people left and right. What they tend to do is they buy them up and they get, say, 10 homes in a neighborhood, and they end up increasing prices on all those homes, which collectively increases the prices of homes around there, so that the rent is now astronomical. They're not turning around flipping these homes and selling them. They are just simply renting it out at ever increasing prices, and sometimes it's 2 to 3 times the price that it used to be even 3-4 years prior. So people are now finding it impossible to find homes. So it creates a homelessness situation, and it's not because people don't have jobs. They just have jobs that don't make enough money to cover the ever-increasing cost of rent. And this is a very real issue. If everybody around us is consistently suffering from this, and we're noticing that this is going on, and you're talking to people that don't know what's going on, it's very, very difficult to feel like you fit in, because you feel like you kind of have your finger on the pulse of what's really going on, and they're maybe watching mainstream media and hearing that everything's just fine. Or mainstream media is just attacking one side and the other side's hitting back, and nobody's effectively making decisions like the one I just mentioned here and now about private equity being banned from home ownership. They aren't going to make any decisions about any of that that's going to change anything. So you're suggesting something like that, and when I say it to people, especially ones that watch a lot of mainstream media, they look at me like I've got 3 heads. They're like, oh, well, no, nothing's going on out there because I don't hear about it on the news. So how many of you were noticing that? And I've had a few people actually send me some emails and say, Steve, look, it just feels like you do talk about a lot of negativity on the channel. I feel like ignorance is bliss, and I feel like I just want to check out. And I totally understand that to a certain degree. But that would be something else that I would even begin to address here too. Something to think about, just a thought to ponder when it comes to this. Do you really need to pursue happiness, or do you need to pursue purpose? Because happiness could be anything that could be temporarily distracting you, keeping you blissfully unaware of what's going on because you're busy doing some silly thing or something that's just entertaining you for the moment. And I'm not knocking people that do that. I get why people do that. I get why people do that, just because, if you're ever on social media and you're ever on YouTube, you're ever on TikTok, you're ever on Instagram, you get inundated. If you're anybody that's on there very frequently, you get inundated with ads talking about how everybody needs therapy now. My personal take on that is this wouldn't even be a craze. This wouldn't even be something that you had to push if there was a quality of life to where people had purpose and people felt like there was hope. And they could see it happening in their daily lives. It's not just feeling like there's hope. It's feeling like you have the opportunities in front of you and being able to actually carry those through. So it isn't just I just need to feel like I have hope. You need to have the opportunities that you can actually act on and change your life. And if you don't have that, then none of the rest of it really matters. And that's just my personal stance on the therapy issue. It's not that I'm knocking anybody that's taking, engaging in therapy and trying to better themselves or something like that. But I feel like we would have a lot less need for it if the economy, if the opportunities, if everything that we had in life was more readily available. But getting back to this other question, do we need happiness, or do we really need it more guided towards purpose in our lives? Something that you feel like you should be a part of, you should be doing something that you're passionate about. That's a very, very good question. Something that I try to pose towards myself every day, like even here on the channel, just talking about these things that I feel like resonate with so many people here that are watching these videos, that are engaging on this channel, that are leaving comments and telling their stories, that are emailing me and telling me their stories. These are major, major things that I feel like resonate with people. That's why the channel is even taking off. It's not any other reason than somebody actually bringing up the subjects that nobody likes to talk about for the most part, or just trying to be honest and encouraging that transparency and honesty as much as possible. I'm certainly not perfect, but I want to try and face things as they are and not live in a fantasy world where I'm not sure where I really stand with anything because I'm just too distracted. So how many of you feel that? How many of you are sensing the feeling of not only not fitting in, but you're looking at everything and you're like, maybe my happiness is wrapped up in purpose and having a purpose in what I do, something that I feel is helping or driving. Maybe it's getting to know God. Maybe it's coming back to a more spiritual center in your life. My personal thought, for me, that's something that is absolutely working for me and is very, very important in my life. And doing things on this channel is the types of film work that I do are things that I find that, strengthen me and kind of ground me really when it comes to this sort of thing. So I'm not just floating along looking for the next distraction, trying to figure out a way to not be paying attention to what's going on around me. Finding ways to break yourself free financially so that you can buy back your time. You're not waking up in the morning in a permanent state of stress, thinking about all these things that you have to run out and do, or going to a job that you absolutely despise. Anyway, I'm not going to ramble on too much more. I'm curious as to your thoughts on some of the questions that I posed here today. And as always, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. All of this helps the algorithm and just helps us get out there and reach even further and reach more people. So good talking to everybody, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Have a good day.